A very, very, very good evening to all of you. As usual, I hope that you had a great weekend and that your week has started beautifully. To me, each day of the week is the same. It's joyous, it's happy. Today on Chai Shai, we have a very special guest. She and me share the last surname. We welcome Ishita Todi from the School of Awakening. She's a conscious living consultant, a conscious clothing person, somebody who promotes conscious clothing. And you also talk about how we can be conscious parents, how conscious parenting is done, Ishita. There's lot more to speak to you on this show. Welcome to Chai Shai.
Thank you, Kanchan. Thank you for having me over. And yes, I'm really excited to be here. Uh, I've got my chai ready. What about yours?
Cheers. Chais, I should say.
Chais.
कैसे हो इशिता?
Very well, very well.
Thank you so much for accepting the invite and being here today in spite of your packed schedule.
Believe me, the pleasure's all mine.
Ishita, tell me, what is this awakening all about? We all talk about awakening. All talk about this being 2020, being the spiritual year, and 2021 being the year of humanity awakening, the planet Mother Earth awakening. We talk about feminine rising. We talk about so many things. What is awakening all about, as per you?
So, let me show you something. For
Yes.
me, this is what the awakening is all about.
Oh.
And, uh, you know, in the world that we're living in, there are some words which have become overused. And I feel awakening is one such word. For me, it's all about being practical and all about breaking things down as much as I can. And when I met Sidra, it felt like I'd met another person who did exactly the same thing. So I like to make things simple, not complicated.
Yeah.
When we say the word awakening, very simply is just like waking up, every night we go to sleep and then every morning we wake up.
Wake up.
And all of us have been doing that all our lives. So if we think, really, really think about those exact moments when we are waking up, I feel like that little space, that little time when just before we are fully awake, where we are neither asleep
No,
and
awake.
nor awake. And that is the most dangerous time because we can go either ways. And I feel like I was living in that phase for a while, and I was getting tempted to go back to sleep because when we're sleeping, we see dreams
Yeah.
and we don't realize that they're dreams and they're not real. But it's fun, so we just go along. But in reality, we're not living, we're sleeping. It's an illusion.
Isn't isn't life an illusion? Isn't everything about life an illusion?
I think it's how we live it. If we are true to ourselves, to everything that we're experiencing, and to all the people that we're encountering, then it's not an illusion. So I think it's how we're living it. And for me, I had come out of sleep. I was waking up, but I was in that in between phase and I was getting tempted to just sleep a little more. And that's when, boom, Sidra comes along and does this to me. She was like an alarm clock. Utho, 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 utho.
We all need that alarm clock. And when it is time for us to wake up, either we have the external alarm clock waking us up, or we have an internal alarm clock, a body clock. And the
Absolutely.
times when we don't listen to either of it, life gives us a nudge. And that nudge could be like a kick in the butt. The nudge could be so tough and so difficult that we go through phases where we ask questions, why me? Oh,
Beautifully said.
yeah.
Beautifully said.
We ask questions like, I've not done anything, so why am I suffering? Or or we come to a phase where we ask how to end the suffering.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if we could literally think of things that happen to us that feel like a jolt, exactly the same way the alarm clock feels like a jolt? We don't break the alarm clock or we don't start like questioning its existence. And I mean, it's we who set it at night, right?
Yeah. Uh, Ishita, we have Blossom Samuel with us who says we are unable to see Ishita Toliji.
Oi,
Hey, Bibel.
okay.
Hey, Blossom.
What do I do? My camera's on. Maybe I can switch it off and then switch
Switch
it
it off.
back on. Does that help?
I hope it does because I can see you on the screen.
You you can see me, right, Kanchan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have my phone screen and the computer screen both on, and I can see you at both the places. So we carry from there. We move from there.
Great, great. Yeah, so like you said, that sometimes there's an external alarm and sometimes there's an internal alarm, and we can read about and we come across people who've been living life a certain way, and then suddenly they're hit by a disease. I mean,
The trauma.
I know somebody who got hit by cancer, and that whole experience of going through her treatment was her wake up call. And she started questioning everything that she'd been doing, and she's living life now in a completely different way. So she decided to look at that experience of cancer as a wake up call.
So is it that the choice that we make, which helps us remain in the dream state?
The stupor.
Yeah. So
It is a choice that we make, of course, it is. It is a choice that we make. And sometimes the willpower is not so much like, sometimes when we make these resolutions, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock and I'm going to go do
it's like
this,
the New
that.
Year resolutions.
Yeah. And then the alarm rings and snooze. you know? So, yeah, it is us who decides, I want to sleep a little more. It's us who decides, you know what, it's time to wake up. I must push through this. It is us who's doing everything to ourselves, isn't it?
So tell me how. Like suppose I was sleeping in a state that nothing or no situation felt good. And I was so unaware that I wanted to keep continuing, not acknowledging those states and not acknowledging those moments in life.
So,
And when we talk, hmm,
Kanchan, any beautician says that you need 8 hours of sleep, right? So, so जितना सोना पड़ता है उतना सोना भी पड़ता है ना. You need your sleep. We all need our sleep,
yes, we do. लेकिन
right?
अब वक्त है जागने का. This is
Right,
time. This is time when entire humanity needs to wake up,
right.
hold each other's hand, and help us move to the destinations unknown,
Yeah,
unseen.
yeah, because it's a cycle, right? There's a time to sleep and a time to wake up. And
And we've been
it is
asleep for
time to
more than
wake up.
20,000 years now.
We have. So it the night has passed. It's morning. It's time to wake up. And every morning, all of us, we can look outside and see that people have different times to wake up. There are some early risers. There are some regular, 7 o'clock risers. There are some late risers. They like to sleep until 10. Fine, each to their own.
There
Just
are there
find
are
find
some
your
there are
lot.
some who there are some who channel and create through the night till 3:30 a.m. in the morning,
Yeah.
and then soup.
Exactly. So each to their own. There's a place for everybody in the world. And
Yeah.
everybody can find their lot. It's just about finding your lot, isn't it?
Or maybe it's not even about finding your lot. The moment you find yourself, the moment you wake up, your lot reaches to you. Your tribe
Absolutely.
automatically connects to your vibration and reaches to you when the time is right.
So this is also something that I've always noticed when we go to a place, like there's a club, okay? We go to the club is open all day and late into the night. But depending on which time I've gone, I'm going to meet those kind of people.
Absolutely.
So if I go in the morning, I find the people who are swimming, the people who are playing tennis early in the morning. If I go a little mid morning, I find people who are sitting and reading the newspaper. If I go in the afternoon, there are people just eating lunch. So you go late in the night, there are people who are drinking, partying. So everything is going on simultaneously. It's all about where you are. Like you're saying, you first got to find yourself, and automatically you find everyone else.
So, Ishita, when you say that, it's about time, that which time we reach to a certain place or destination, isn't time an illusion?
Isn't time an illusion? Wow, an oft asked question. Well, it depends on how you look at it. And it feels like an illusion when one is sleeping, I feel. But when one is awake,
Even in
and
the
when,
awake state,
go on.
it's like there are things happening similarly at the same time. When I say time, at the same moment, in so many varied spaces, that, like, for somebody like me, I don't even look at the calendar. It's just another day, unless the alarm rings that this is time for this meeting or this is time for that meeting.
Yeah, exactly. So time is a marker. I think it's a marker because you've got to have some measures, you've got to have some way of kind of checking or marking, you know how to do things. But when you say, like, is time an illusion, is age a number, all those kind of things, at the end of the day it's all about the now. What you're doing now, how you're feeling now, that's about it. So if people think, there are some people who say, when I get this and this and this, then I'll be happy. I feel like
Or when I am this old, then I'll do this.
this, yeah. So I feel those concepts are the ones which feel like illusions. Like that it's like a mirage then. Then time feels like a mirage. You keep thinking it's going to come, but it never comes. But
Yeah,
when you
what
seize the moment, then you're not waiting for anything.
I don't know about seizing the moment, but I'll share with you, after my meeting our guide, our friend Sidra Jaffrey. And even before meeting her, I've been connected to the school through my friend Suri. It just happens that the moment you shift your thoughts, you don't even need to make efforts for things. Things just automatically happen. Not saying that you don't need to do the work. Of course, you need to do the work. But the term hard work becomes just work. It happens automatically and with so much of ease.
Ease and grace is how what she used to
Yes.
say always. Yeah.
You can add joy to it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. Whatever you're thinking, you are sending that thought out into the world. And each thought that goes out, it finds its lot. And that one becomes many. And then it becomes so many that it becomes that thing. And then that thing comes back to you. So, in that sense, all of us are creators and manifestors. And everything
Each
that's
one.
happening to us, each one and everything that's happening to us, is because we have made it happen. And that I really believe that is a truth. So there's no great secret or great magic or some mantra or nothing like that. It's simply the quality of our thoughts. So if there are
How do you,
people who keep worrying, and guess what? Things keep going wrong for them. Anything to be surprised about? No.
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 We have our friend Zaveria Nusrat who says, hi. Hi, Zaveria. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Yes, she says that we holding each other's hand. Yes,
We are.
it's not just creating your thoughts. It's also creating that environment that nurtures the manifestation of your thoughts.
Yes.
And that environment, I believe, happens through the relationships you have, or the relationship you have with yourself and then the people around you. How do you nurture a relationship, Ishita? You are a conscious parenting lead. Please tell us.
Yes, I am. So, when we experience conflict, it's basically the the difference in the quality of what we're thinking and feeling versus our environment. Like you're saying that to manifest we have to have an environment also. So today if I'm thinking I want to be a certain way, but my environment is not letting me be that way, I experience conflict.
So does the environment really play a major role? Suppose, um, like we say, the black sheep of the family. So suppose there's one person in the family who's kind of awakened, who's kind of a little different from the others. People like you and me, we've been different since our childhood. So, and while the rest of the members of the family are still maybe in that somber or the dream state or the sleep state, in that case, how do you nurture your awakening, or how do you nurture yourself to evolve?
So the biggest challenge that people in this situation face is they feel that they are the ones who are wrong. And there's this whole concept of wrong and right.
Yeah.
And there's this whole concept of whoever's different is wrong.
Wow.
So if we are able to simply recognize that we're different, that's all. And if we are able to celebrate our differences,
Easier said than done, Nishita. Easier said than done. When you say celebrate your differences, for a child who feels different, for a child who feels not a part of the environment, or who feels that they don't fit in the environment they are, they can't even, carry a backpack and say that, okay, I am leaving home and I am going to live by myself. No, they
Yeah,
can't.
they can't.
So how do we create that environment for ourselves as children who've come to the planet, or as parents who've given birth to children, and probably our child is much more evolved a soul than us. Probably our
So,
child is really a special child who needs that special nurturing.
so Kanchan, as a conscious parenting lead, I 100% very, very strongly believe that it is the parents' responsibility to create the conducive environment for their child. It is not the child's responsibility, like you're saying, that a child can't just pick up the bag and say, okay, I'm not happy here, so off I go. It's up to the parent to recognize that what is working for them or what is working for the other children is not working for this child. And it's up to the parent to figure out what needs to be done to make every child live in a conducive environment.
Yeah.
It's when we're doing gardening, we don't pick up a whole bunch of seeds, put them all in the same pot, and expect all of them to bloom into flowers. It doesn't work like that.
True, but we need to create that space, isn't it?
Yes. And what helps really is to remember that every parent was also once a child.
Yeah.
So they need to do is remember. They need to remember what they felt when they were children, how they felt when they were misunderstood or judged or reprimanded. If they are able to truly, truly remember, that's it, our job is done. It's when they forget that
But
they were also children.
but it is not easy to remember. It is not easy because there are so many layers that go on while we are growing up. There are so many layers that kind of cover that innocence of our soul, that purity of our being. So many judgments that, put that it throws a blanket over uh, the purity of our soul, that uh, it's not easy for us to go back into our childhood or the childlike emotion and address another by the same feeling.
That
How
is
does
why
one
there are
do
people like you and me, no? That is why there are people like you and me. We are here to help. And if people seek help, and there's one thing that I'm really happy to see in the world around us, that more and more people are actually seeking help, and more people are opening up. More and more people are ready to talk. So it's actually, I can see that awakening is happening. People are waking up. And there's so many people like you and me. There's so many. So we just need to find someone to remind us.
Oh, we don't need to find. There are so many triggers in our environment, especially, when we kind of claim and say that I am at a particular place or I am doing this particular thing. Your thoughts or your doubts about yourself might throw back at you a mirror. or even when you seek to find yourself, especially when you seek to find yourself, you are thrown mirrors at you time and again. And those mirrors are such deep triggers. How do you handle triggers, Ishita?
True, So again, Kanchan, every moment we have to remember that we are making a choice. And if we are to get triggered, we can choose of how we are going to get triggered. Do we want someone to come and punch us? Or or do we want someone to come and hug us and say, "Come, let's turn a little to this side and look, there's a mirror there. Let's look into the mirror together."
There are very rare Sidra Jaffries in the world. It is rare that you get hugged and you told that, don't worry, let's look in the mirror together. Let's clean it up together.
Yeah. But that's what it's about. The messages in the chat box about holding hands and us being together. And
Yeah.
that's the whole movement that's really taking shape in the world today, isn't it? There are more
Yes.
and more people who are wanting to pay it forward. Yes, there are.
We have a beautiful soul with us, Keshav Harlalka, who's such a giver. He's always there, ready to help, ready to support, ready to
There
hold
you
hands.
go. There you
And
go.
yet we are so misunderstood. When we open our hearts and when we open our soul and bring that childlike innocence, saying that, come, hold my hand, I am there for you. The first question that arises in the minds of most is that, okay, why is he saying so? That to a female. What's wrong? What's happening here? And uh, how do we change such perspectives, Ishita? How do we allow the pure souls to be as innocent as they are? Because they feel scared.
So that's where the role of language comes in. Because again, when we remember when we were children, we were taught language and we were taught what is appropriate and what is okay to say where and what is not okay to say where. And learning a language does so many things. It helps us express ourselves. It also helps protect us by not saying the wrong thing to the wrong person
At the wrong time in the wrong
at the wrong
environment.
app. There you go. Thank you for finishing it for me.
But then, is there anything that is wrong? Because what is your wrong or my wrong could be somebody else's right. What is my right
100%.
could be somebody else's wrong.
100%. But it's like you said, that how do you prevent misunderstanding? So it's about learning languages, different languages, and learning to speak in different languages with different people, always adapting oneself to communicate in the other's language and having so much fun.
Yeah, so basically, what you're saying is we need to hold that space for each other wherein we feel safe enough to be able to share uh, what is our language of communication, what is the
Yes.
language our soul understands. And somebody's language could be in words, somebody's
Yes.
language could be in the sound of music,
Yes.
somebody's language could be in colors, like Keshav is saying,
The
very
painting
beautiful
behind
painting
you. Yeah.
background. Yeah. Thank you so much, Keshav. I am blessed with the gift by my mentor, Sidra Jaffrey. Trust you me, had you known me earlier, I would scared to even use colors.
It's unimaginable.
It's unimaginable the way shifts happen in your life. Because every time, I'll just share this incident now that Keshav has brought out the topic of art. As a child, I would love to paint. I would love to color. I would come back from school, and first thing was like sit with some colors with my cousins and everyone. As I grew up into an adult, a 20-year-old, a 22-year-old, I became a mother. And every time in my free time, I would sit with some paint and colors and maybe a canvas. And there was so much guilt setting inside me that, maybe I am supposed to do some other duty at the time, which I'm giving towards my art.
Really?
Yeah, so it is the environment again, like you said, the environment creates the guilt and the thoughts inside you. Or maybe sometimes it's not even the environment, it is the conditioning of what you have seen growing up for a woman or a mother to be doing.
That's also the environment.
Yeah, and if you are not following the set norms, you start feeling guilty. And again, the sound of words in the environment could also affect how you feel about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And suddenly, I think by the time I was 23, 24, I stopped creating art. Or maybe I would create it once in a while and then tear it off
Mm.
somewhere. Until, again, Sindra walked into my life. So, yeah, how do we bring that environment for our children, for our adults? Parenting is not just about children, parenting
Not
is
at
also
all.
about parenting yourself.
It is. It's about parenting yourself. It's about parenting your spaces. And believe it or not, it's also about parenting your parents.
Tell us more about parenting your parents and parenting yourself, Ishita.
So let's first,
And why, I don't know why I was just about to say Sidra.
oh God. So let's first really define this word parenting. What is parenting really? Tell me, what do you think?
I
When you
have
hear this word, of course you do. When we hear this word parenting, what comes to mind?
love, love,
Te-
pure love, so much of love.
do you have children, Kanchan?
I have hundreds of children, and I have one of my own as well, my biological child,
So have you
who's
been,
now 22, 23
have
years.
you, tell me honestly, have you been 100% in pure love with your 24-year-old all the time?
No.
No.
We fight like cats and dogs. But there are times when he questions me. Are you sure we're not siblings and you my mother? There are times he tells me, can you just grow up a bit?
Exactly. So
Like,
what I define parenting as that it's so many acts of teaching. I have three children, so there's a lot of referee, like being a referee that I have to do, cooking, driving, feeding, um, listening, cleaning. Like there are a million things that I have to do as a parent.
sometimes even screaming.
Of course, all the time. you know. And what defines parenting really is to understand that that job is a 24/7 job. Whatever it is we're doing, nursing, like anything we're doing. But even if we're traveling, we're not physically in the same city, the feeling of responsibility doesn't leave us. That is what parenting is.
True that. And sometimes parenting is also being open to learn from your children.
Of course,
Parenting is also uh, being open to accept that they could have much more wisdom than you do.
of
And
course,
their perception of life could give you a new, wider perspective towards things you've not seen.
of course. And that is why, when we talk about older generations, where the father figure maybe was very disconnected with the children. It was parenting was like
Yeah,
a mother's job, all the
mother's job.
mothers, mother, grandmother, everyone. And the father would not even know sometimes which class the child is in or something like that. There were so many children, you know. But the father, whatever he was doing, he had that feeling of responsibility on him
So,
until,
you know,
if it was a daughter, until he got her married, or if it was a son, until he started earning his own money or something like that, the father would feel the responsibility.
do you think, labeling the men, over generations, over thousands of years, we have put men into the place of being a provider.
Yeah,
And that has taken away a part of the nurturer within them,
100%.
silenced off a part of their expressions. And today, most of our male uh, children, our male youth, our male adults, our male elderlies, they are not able to express and communicate.
Yes, it's a problem.
How do we work on parenting that issue or that part or that challenge in the world?
So I feel like the genders are blending more and more as time is passing. And even when we are talking about labeling the men providers, we need to remind ourselves that they were providing materially. But it's not as if the mothers were not providing anything. The mothers were providing the care and the love and the attention and all of that. So we have to widen our understanding
We
of
have
all the
ideas.
words. Yeah, we have to
Now
widen
that
the.
Yeah. Now that mothers can financially or are financially also providing for the family, it is time that we allow the father or the male figure of the world to be able to open up as a nurturer, to be open
Yeah,
as a provider as far as
yeah.
emotions are also concerned.
Exactly. And because it was such a different world earlier, and going out and earning money was a physical job which was hard for women to do. So the men had to do it. So to be able to survive outside the house, they were trained to not be emotional, because if they got emotional, how would they manage outside? Earlier, they used to go away, they used to be without family for months sometimes.
Months,
Yeah.
years,
So
years.
if they were the very sensitive, very expressing their emotions, they wouldn't be able to survive. So they were
True that.
trained. So telling them, boy, that men don't cry, boys don't do this, that, it was all actually a training. But now, since they don't
We need
need
to
to do that,
unlearn. We need to unlearn that training.
exactly, now since
The world has changed.
they don't need to do that, they don't need the training either.
We have Dr. Gitanjali Chauhan D'Souza with us, who herself is very evolved spiritually and practices some amazing modalities on the feminine rising. She says, parent is a learner on a path of loving.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's this one school of thought which actually says that from the soul perspective, the ones we have found the toughest to love come back as our children, so that we have no option but to love them.
Yeah, so, there are even concepts. Why I would say concepts is that I have no proof to prove this point here. But then the ones who've experienced and the ones who have the knowingness know and understand. that it is not just our children. Even if you experiencing a tough time, a difficult time with your family members, your loved one, your partners, maybe in some lifetime you have left some contract incomplete.
Uncompleted.
Maybe in
Absolutely.
some lifetime you have made some promise to come back and meet them here. And whatever challenges you're facing, it can just simply be resolved by opening up your heart, opening up your Vishuddhi chakra, opening up yourself to express, and trust you me, express without judgment and expectations.
Yes.
That's the best way to parent yourself and parent your children and parent your parents,
Yes.
or even at times parent your partner.
Yes. So that's what I was talking about, like you can even parent your space. So when you're moving into a new place, if you're getting a new home or you're getting a new office, for a while there, you kind of get consumed by it when you're
Yeah,
setting it up. So in that
yes,
phase, you're literally parenting it. And then once it's grown up, as in taken shape, you don't need to parent it so much
yeah.
anymore. So for me, that's what parenting
Then
means.
it's maybe just
It's something that you take on and you're 24/7 carrying it on you. And you do whatever is needed from you to take it from A to B. You don't differentiate that this is parenting or that is parenting. Everything
that
is
is parenting.
parenting. Yeah, you do whatever needs to be done to take it from here to there, but you take it
Ishita,
up.
on a lighter note, we women have jokes about partners, especially when you're getting into a new relationship, when you're getting into a marriage, that just like children, you need to potty train your partners as well.
So I have 3 children, but a lot of people say I have 4 children, and that's like a joke. But again, I feel, yeah, it is a women's joke.
It's a women's joke
It's a
that
women's
you
joke.
need to parent your partner.
But you also
But
need
why
to
so?
learn. You also need to, you
Yeah.
learn a lot. I think women have
So
big
maybe
egos and they don't want to admit that to each other that they also need to be parented. Yeah.
so a lot of time, especially when you have an emotionally available partner, it is easier for women to re-nurture themselves and adjust in a new environment, in unfamiliar territories, or be able to open up with their emotions, because most marriages or most relationships fail due to the non-nurturing relationship between the partners. So, what would you say to people who, are getting into relationship where they need to nurture each other, or uh, partners who are already in a relationship which is challenging?
Again, it's all about perspective. It's all about widening the perspective, and it's all about remembering.
We go
If
back to the
we go
childhood.
back, yeah, not just the childhood, but we go back to remembering that if
Beyond
we
that.
are feeling that somebody is giving me a tough time, Sidra, in the awakening, so every alphabet of the word awakening, it stands for a principle.
Yeah,
And the first principle, the A, is ask quality questions. And
correct.
something that Sidra explains so beautifully,
Beautifully.
so beautifully, is that the quality of the answer depends on the quality of the question. So if we're going to ask, why are you so angry with me all the time? What are you going to get? A list of things about you that make me
All
angry.
complaints.
Exactly. So it's all about remembering, why am I in a relationship with my partner?
Or why am I facing the challenges in my marriage, or in my relationship with my in-laws, or with my partner, or with my children?
Yeah, so if we ask a quality question and say, what am I supposed to be learning because of the
Sure.
situation right now? You know, if
Then
we
we
are
get the
then
solutions.
we get solutions. If we ask a quality question, when we look at our partner and we are wondering, like, why? If we ask ourselves a quality question, why did I choose this person to be my partner in the first place?
Oops.
Then we will remember.
Ishita, there is so much we can talk on this topic.
True.
And though I believe that time is something which really doesn't matter to me, but then we have a clock ticking here.
That's what I was saying. It's a marker, so it
It's a
marks.
marker. Keshav says parenting is a fence which tenders the young sapling and guards the sapling against dangers. And parenting is the watering sapling and providing it nourishment. So beautifully said. In every
Yes.
relationship, whichever relationship, even in your work, if you look at your work with love, with nurturing, with the feeling of being the creator, the parent, the work grows and flourishes.
Yeah, it's about taking responsibility, It's about taking responsibility and saying, I'm going to shape this. Then you do whatever you have to do to shape it
It's just that decision that you make, that whether you choose to shape it or whether
or
you
not.
choose to destroy it.
Yeah, or whether you choose to say, no,
Just
but that is supposed to shape me, so I'm just going to sit and wait now.
be in the state of limbo, non-action.
Sleep, go back to sleep.
We have Dilip Mehta with us who says, just too good, dear Kanchan. Thank you so much, Dilip ji, for joining us in spite of your busy, busy, busy schedule. Ishita, uh,
Yes,
Dr. Gitanjali Chauhan D'Souza, she
yes,
says somebody's language can be dressing others and making them feel beautiful and liberated.
yes,
Yes, Dr. Gitanjali,
it
I
can
will
be.
soon be creating some clothes for you. She's been waiting for some clothes. Ishita, you have been somebody who's promoted conscious clothing for a long
Yes,
time. You've
yes.
been working on conscious clothing. And can you share with our audience what is conscious clothing?
So I feel that as a generation, we have uh, taken away the emotional connect from our clothes. When I was growing up, every every sari that my mother wore had a memory
Important.
attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I bought this, for so this one's wedding, or I bought this when I got my first salary, or I got this on my this anniversary. And it was so every time you wear that, you remember those memories. And I've seen that shift happening. I think, Kanchan, you and I, our generation, has
Yeah.
seen that shift happening. We witnessed
Majorly,
it.
majorly. Where, like now, Dr. Gitanjali says that, making people feel beautiful and liberated through clothes. We don't do that anymore. Clothes are just part of the wardrobe. We pull one out and make sure that we've not worn it to a particular occasion or to a particular place. We
Yeah.
don't we don't attach uh, the energy of love and care to our clothes.
Yeah. We're not, we are still using our clothes to express ourselves. But what we're expressing really, what I see around me is, uh, I want to belong. Everybody's in such a rush to belong somewhere. Whereas for me, it's all about, first you need to belong to
To
yourself.
yourself,
You know?
belong to yourself, create that space for yourself and your soul.
Yeah. You need to belong to yourself. You need to be able to be your own person. But we're living in India. We want to go to the malls. and buy clothes from brands that are based in Europe or the
They don't
US.
have our sizes and shapes. They
They
don't.
don't have our size, they don't have our shape, they don't have our climate,
They don't have our color.
they don't have our colors, you know. But we're just wanting to follow trends, and it looks like insanity to me. It really, really looks like insanity to me. And for me, conscious clothing is all about having emotion, and one of those emotions being respect for everything that we own. When we say, oh, I wore this when I went to this one's house, and so I can't wear it again for the same people to see me in it, we're
Wow.
disrespecting. Yeah,
I have
there's so much
certain, like,
disrespect there, you know. So,
it's not just disrespect about the clothing. I believe it's disrespect about your own being as well.
of course,
Because then you don't have favorites, then you don't have memories that make you joyous about something.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, our clothes need to really be able to communicate what we're feeling. So there's this one particular dress that I have, and my entire family ridicules that outfit. Okay, they think it's the most ridiculous outfit, but I love it. And the day I wear it, every person in the house makes one comment.
However,
And
you feeling beautiful inside,
no,
right?
no. So the comment is, oh, you're feeling like a princess today. Oh, you're in one of those moods today.
So we need to have a cloak in our wardrobe for every mood that we have,
Yes, we do. Yes,
for
we do.
every emotion or every experience that we wish to manifest during that day or that occasion.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. You know, we need to be able to say things without having to say them. You know, like if you're not feeling too great, the way you're dressed, people see you and they know that you're not feeling great. So then they know that they're supposed to comfort you, or they're supposed to just back off, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
It could go either way.
So yeah,
Ishita, I just wish we could continue and continue this conversation for hours to go.
true, true.
However,
That
the marker,
illusion called
the
time.
marker, the alarm is ringing,
Yes.
and I would like you to conclude this session for us today. I would like you to conclude this conversation and give your two bits on the awakening, on your journey of awakening to our audience. Please share.
So I don't even know how to conclude our talk because we've kind of gone all over the place.
That's what unfiltered conversations are about. You just allow yourself to flow, and
Yeah.
imagine in such a short time we have been able to discuss so many important, beautiful points.
Yes, that's true. So if I had to sum it all up, I would want to just give this message to all our listeners today. Take a few moments out and just remember who you really are. Remember why you're really here. And that's all you need to do. There is nothing else that you need to do. Just remember who you are. Everything else will fall into place.
And for those who really wish to remember who they are, who wish to know the purpose of their existence on this planet, there are so many modalities that can help you overcome what whatever issues and challenges you are facing, just hold somebody's hand, somebody who knows, who has the knowingness, who's kind of experienced the journey. We at the School of Awakening are always there to help you, to hold your hand, to hold that space for you. And if required, when required, to guide you through yourself, to help you remember your soul's purpose. We at the School of Awakening have various modalities, and we have various Zoom sessions which are now also Facebook Live for the public to come and experience their own quest of being awakened. Do join us at the School of Awakening Facebook page, Instagram page. It is marked on Chai Shai today's stock portfolio, and allow yourself to experience yourself. Allow yourself to love yourself. And trust you me, once you love yourself, love from every corner of the universe flows into your life. You don't.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ishita. Thank you so much for being a part of this Chai Shai conversation. I would love to invite you again on the forum to have some more discussion on life and how to lead a conscious life.
Thank you, Kanchan. And on that note, I also wanted to, I just remembered that Sidra used to say, no matter what the question, the answer is always love.
And also leave them better than you found them.
Yes.
Wherever you go, just remember that. Thank you so much, Ishita. Lots of love to you. Lots of love to all your four children and and your parents and uncles and aunts and parent-in-laws that you're taking care of. Lots of love to your entire
Thank you
family.
so much, Kanchan, for having me on Chai Shai. It's been an absolute, absolute pleasure. And I really, really hope that you and I together have left everyone, all our listeners, better than we found them. Great job done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Kanchan.
you.
Thank you.
Guys, do take good care of yourself. Love yourself a little more. Don't judge yourself. Just care for yourself. And trust you me, whatever you're looking for in life will reach you. On that note, good night, Shabak here. Have a blessed week ahead.